Yeah, absolutely. And I think that the more we do that, I think it's, yeah, can have a huge impact on
Mm.
teams for sure. Definitely. Um, but I think another big thing for me is, again, kind of going back to when I first became a manager, I again, you kind of are conditioned, I think, a little bit to think, well, you are the manager, you must have all the answers, you must
Yes.
have all the solutions, you know.
Yep.
So, I mean, I'm horrified when I think back to some of my first leadership roles because I just say, oh gosh, what was I doing? But actually flipping it on its head when people are coming with you with a problem, instead of going, right, okay, let's fix this. Here's the answer. This is what this is what I'll do, helping people to kind of navigate through that issue themselves and find their own solution to it. Because I tell you what, I mean,
Yes. Yeah.
I think for me, if I handhold that person all the way through that, I've not actually done anything for them. I've not, all I've done is
Mm.
given them
No,
the answers.
absolutely.
And if they go to another organisation, another part of the department, and they manage in a different way, I've done them a disservice in all honesty. So even though sometimes it is quicker and it can feel more efficient just to go, well, I know the answer, you should do this. Actually, being able to go, let's work through this together. What do you think? Go through that sort of that coaching style, really has an
Mm.
impact. And yeah, I think that really helped me shift where I was at with things, and also, in all honesty, reduce the amount of times people were calling me with small problems, because I think
Oh.
it was kind
Ah,
of
right.
giving people the tools to go, well, instead of my first point of call being, let's call my manager, it was, well,
Mhm.
okay, can we work through this a little bit beforehand and then present? Because there's nothing more than I love to say, I found this problem, this is what I think the solution is. And I think when
Yeah.
someone comes with that, I love it. Absolutely love it.
It goes hand in hand with what you're saying about the ownership. So they're empowered,
Yeah,
to be
yeah,
able to actually know that they can work through and come to a solution themselves. So lovely.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, definitely.
And tell us about playing to your strengths, or even playing to your colleagues' strengths.
Yeah, I think again it's just so important. Like, I think to know what your strengths are and know, understand what people are naturally good at, and then finding ways to match their strengths with certain roles. So I know that I had a member of my team who really loved numbers and the data and all that kind of stuff. But the writing and the analysing of the data wasn't something they particularly enjoyed. And then luckily I had somebody on the
Right.
team who was kind of opposite to that. So actually pairing them together and saying, okay, you don't like the numbers, you don't like the
Yeah.
narrative, let's bring you both together. And what they were able to produce was wonderful then, because actually I had brilliant data, I had great narrative, and
Yes.
they'd done it together. And then, because we're not good at everything, and I think
No. Absolutely.
when you try and be an all rounder, you end up kind of like reducing what you can do with everything. So I always say, I've got some things I'm really good at, I've got some things I'm not great at. So actually, give me something that I can excel in. Find someone else to do the things that I'm not very good at, or help me to do that, that sort of way. So, and I think that's really important. And we've also done like skills matrices with people before. So knowing what people are either
Okay.
interested in, what they've, the research, because
Mm.
there's so many times you're in a room full of people, and if you don't ask the questions, you're not going to know. So being able to say to people like, what are
Exactly.
your interests? Because actually someone's interests can really impact their skills or something, because they enjoy it, really enjoy doing it. So I had somebody who was really interested in researching autism, really liked it. We knew we had a skills gap
Oh.
across the organisation around autism awareness.
Mm.
I said, go and develop some training, see what you think. Let's have a look and roll it out. So it massively impacts how people feel. And again, going back to that
Mhm.
ownership, how that person felt
Mm.
because they were able to
Yeah.
say, I've done this.
That
Yeah.
is so great. And I think, because you answered my question, I was going to ask you, like, how do you
Oh,
determine, how does someone find out what their strengths are? And the skills matrix is a great way. And how would you say, because most people aren't asked what their strengths are. So how do people feel about finding out what their strengths are and were there any surprises? I think she's frozen. Frozen.
Let
Okay.
me 10:04.
Okay. So hopefully we can edit that out. She's
So
doing great.